Welcome to the KFA Podcast, where our mission is to keep faith alive by kicking ass.
Brand is this big, vague idea for what you want people to know you by. That's really what it is. And I just started turning that into content, both audio and visual and social and then YouTube and then podcasts and this. And like, who are you? Why should people use you? You're a real estate agent that sells X and what? And you love cooking, and you love cats, and you love kayaking, and you love Boston sports, whatever it might be. What is your thing?
How people perceive you is how they are going to do business with you, whether it's fair or not, okay? Perception is reality. And so we want to make sure that we are putting out the right perception for the people that we want to attract to our lives and to our business.
I work with a lot of successful entrepreneurs that nobody knows, which is kind of my forte. I get a lot of people who have built successful businesses, but back to your point, they didn't have a personal brand. Nobody really knew who they were, and they're moving into kind of the next phase of their life, and they're like, I don't even know how to log into my Instagram. You know, so I get a lot of entrepreneurs that say, hey, Buck, I need to work on my personal brand.
Man, I am really excited because we have one of our favorite people joining us today, Megan Anderson. Welcome to the podcast. For the few people out there who don't know who you are yet in Clark County, and I do say few, and I mean that because you've taken the county on in this real estate industry locally by storm, kind of. Can you share a little bit about who you are?
Yeah. So I'm Megan Anderson. I'm with Keller Williams Premier Partners in Vancouver, Washington. In 4 days, I will hit my 3-year mark in real estate.
Wow.
Before real estate, I was in banking for around 12 years. Mm-hmm. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. Started a car dealership in Vancouver off of Highway 99.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay.
Obviously, COVID what made things hard.
Sure.
You know, keeping employees and inventory. So I got into real estate and decided to close the dealership because real estate was going so fantastic.
Wow. And
here I am. I'm a mom to 3 little boys and a wife, and yeah.
That's amazing. I would love to, so car dealership versus real estate, just real quick. What are the biggest differences that you feel between those two forms of sales?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and I can't say how much I appreciate real estate because of this, is I'm not selling my own inventory.
Right.
There's a little bit of level of separation there, and it's a big difference, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah. And you're kind of selling yourself instead, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which is a lot easier to do than selling, used vehicles.
So over, and when I mentioned before, you've taken the market, the local market here by storm. I feel like a lot of people know who you are now, and you're everywhere on social media. You're kicking butt, and you're really kind of creating that brand for yourself. What have you been doing differently in your marketing and business approach over the last 12 to 18 months?
Well, honestly, first quarter of 2023, I sold 1 home, and that was a little bit of a difference for me, and I needed to pivot and figure out the best way to continue to grow my business at the pace that it was growing while we were heading into a shifting market.
Right.
And so I guess I just dove into what part of real estate made me happy and was the most rewarding, and that was working with seniors and helping them transition to their next stage of life. And so I just doubled down on that. I started really just working on the relationships that were going with people who were going to meet my clients before I met them.
Okay.
And it completely transformed my business and my outlook on business.
Yeah. So you sort of started looking upstream to who's meeting these people and might be a good referral source for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, I love that because I think a lot of times that's overlooked. Like, we know we can get referrals from past clients and friends and family, but there's certain people out there who could send a lot more than the average person, more referrals.
Right.
What kind of got you started in that direction?
I went to a Keller Williams event. Probably, I think the first one I went to was in 2022, where I heard about it. There's a guy named Dan Ihara that had built his business over with helping seniors. He was the complete solution. for helping seniors. He had a couple ancillary businesses that, complemented what he did. And he was very successful. And then the next national event I went to, he was on the stage and he was talking about his community that he built, which was the real estate planner community. And it was just completely targeted towards helping people become the expert in helping seniors and having the complete solution and all the resources.
All the resources, yeah. Yeah, because you've really kind of taken an all-encompassing approach where you are helping them in every aspect of transitioning.
Yeah, and the best part is what I learned from him is that I didn't have to do it myself.
Yeah.
Because I was the person that was sitting on the ground with them, going through their keepsakes and that was it was a great experience, but it also took a lot of time.
Not manageable, yeah.
And it was not very scalable when you're, working on, 20, 30 transactions a year. So what he did is he taught me who those people were that I needed to build relationships that will, advance the service that I provide to my clients and free up some time for me to help more people.
Yeah, enhance, not replace. Yeah.
What do those key positions look like for you?
So one is a senior move manager. So there is an association called the National Association of Senior Move Managers, and it's an organization that trains people on sitting, the emotional aspect of downsizing and
letting go a little bit.
Yeah, and really putting it into a process that could be duplicated. And so that's the biggest piece that freed up a lot of my time and resources.
Yeah.
And then from there, which I'm still working on utilizing this partner, is a placement agent. So they're folks that are knowledgeable of the communities in our area, and they can help place people into those communities.
Like the assisted living facilities?
Assisted living, memory care, things like that. The reason I say I haven't quite necessarily utilized that partnership yet is because I found that there was nothing more powerful than me driving them around. Because then I was building the relationships with the communities. They would always ask, are you the daughter?
Right.
Like, no, I'm the realtor.
Well, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gets your foot in the door so that you're known inside of those communities too as a resource.
Yeah, and they see me frequently because I go and visit and and I take people through and
you're providing a service for both sides too. That we shouldn't overlook that, because for those communities, oftentimes there's a long wait list, and if somebody comes up on the wait list, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is just from my experience and a little bit of knowledge, but sometimes they have to sell their home. That's where the money's coming from to be able to get them to afford their room, right?
Right. COVID did a little bit on that industry. One, with turnover of employees, but two, a lot of folks pulled their loved ones out of those communities because they were having to close the doors, and they weren't being able to go spend time with their family, and they felt isolated, which we all know is not great for cognitive health. And so since, with COVID being sort of over, the communities are working on,
sort of.
Their
I think we're past it. Hopefully, don't bring that back. Oh, keep going.
I would say they're working on their bringing up lowering their vacancy rates.
Right. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. And man, it was like just yesterday, COVID. But yeah, that's very true. I mean, one of my grandmother-in-laws was in a facility, and we had to spend Christmas through a window. And it was heartbreaking. Yeah,
it's true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, it's just especially in that stage of their life, it just becomes a little more precious and a little more endeared. So it's really unfortunate, And I was also going to say, when you're driving around with these clients, that's also creating moments where you can connect with them and just converse with them and get to know them on a deeper level too.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's so cool.
Now, so just to challenge you a little bit, because I think a lot of people fear going deep on a niche because they worry that it's going to put them in a box. And have you felt any of that? Has this impacted your ability to work with first-time home buyers or with other segments of the real estate community?
So that did worry me a little bit. To this day, even the majority of my clients aren't seniors. It did worry me, but I didn't. I guess I just kept those legs of my business still, open and flowing.
Yeah.
Kelsey and I are hosting a first-time homebuyer class That's so far, it's got great signups right now.
Yeah, I think we're right about just under 30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Cool. I mean, that's most of Megan's clients, so I'll just preface with that. But I'm really excited.
Wow.
I'm really excited. It's on Zoom. It's really made it a little more accessible for people, so our reach is just a little bit further. But yeah, I'm super excited.
When is the class?
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
This
in
week?
the evening. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when this episode airs, probably already happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Well,
No.
I think the plan, we've talked about doing it pretty regularly,
Okay.
about every 6 to 8 weeks or so. So that there'll be more. There'll be more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what does your business look like in the last 12 months as far as where your deals have come from? I mean, you mentioned, even though that's a primary niche of yours in the senior community, most of your business happened outside of that still?
Yeah. So while it felt like it was all consuming, and that was what I was really focused on, I was really shocked to see that the number one source of business for 2023 was agent to agent business.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Honestly, I'm still scratching my head
just
on
super
how
likable.
that came to be. I have to contribute social media to a big portion of
Yeah,
it.
okay.
It's a really great way to connect with a whole lot of people in a short amount of time. And just between the networking groups, like I'm in a group called Girls with Grit. I've received 2 referrals from there already within, being in that Facebook group for
That's
not
awesome.
very long. Yeah, just all the different social media groups and connecting with people, going to the National Keller Williams events is another way to connect with like 15,000 different realtors at a time.
Are you going to the one coming up here?
Sure am.
Okay. Yeah. Well, keep doing it. You're getting paid to go, it sounds like. So.
Yeah.
Wow. So agent to agent, that's I mean, incredible. Maybe not surprising though, especially with how much you're dominating social media. Like you said, I want to talk about social media a little bit. What is because I know you're very strategic and you've got a calculated plan behind everything you do. What does your strategy look like on social media? You mentioned groups and.
Yeah. First of all, if I meet someone in person, the first thing I do is add them to Facebook because we're going to be friends now.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that.
That is because I'm on social media a lot. It's the easiest way to stay in front of anybody that I meet without, if you meet someone at a coffee shop, you might only meet them once.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I have met people at a coffee shop and immediately got their name and added them on Facebook, and now we're friends.
Treating it more of like a database.
Yeah, 100%.
And a very easy one for people to agree to be in.
Yeah. Recently, I've started doing what we call bold 100s. So I will make 100 contacts on Facebook for specific things like Kelsey and I's class, reaching out to people on Messenger messes with the algorithm, and it tells Facebook that you guys want to see each other.
Oh, okay. I get that.
And I did this bold 100 like 2 weeks ago, I think, when we started advertising the class, maybe 3 weeks. Yeah. And I watched my engagement and my reach, and my 3-second videos viewings just skyrocket because I messaged 100 people on social media.
I remember that. Yeah.
And now just the engagement has increased so much. So
that's amazing.
That was one thing. I kind of stopped texting and went to Facebook Messenger.
Wow. Okay. We'll write that down. That's interesting. I have not heard that before.
Me neither.
I wish Larry was in here.
So you really take a lot of time really kind of assessing what's working and what's not working. I mean, you're diving in. There's tremendous value in that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And so what else? You've got a blog. That's
I do.
Not social media necessarily, but.
Yeah. On the blog, this was again, a couple times I've been tempted to write about something else other than seniors and things that seniors would go through, but I've held strong and just stayed on, topics like dementia and downsizing and trying to think of some other topics. And I just got my first lead from it. Someone, they found my website on Google and read through my blog and called me.
Wow. Straight through SEO, not paid traffic.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And
that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. So we met. It is an amazing property. I hope this doesn't count as a coming soon. It is a historic property. It was built on the Cottrell Dam that was decommissioned in 1947 in Camas.
Wow.
Washougal. On the Washougal River. So it's this massive 4,000 square foot
That's
home.
so awesome.
I don't think you could get any closer to the river without being in the river.
Right.
Yeah. It's signed around, and we're going to go live on April 4th.
That's amazing. Wow. That's so exciting. I mean, I know you shared some of those pictures with us, but man, I feel like it's got to be the coolest feeling when you've been doing something and maybe you've done it for a while and you haven't necessarily seen the ROI on it, and we all go through those things, right? It's like, is this action going to pay off? And then it finally does. And usually now you're probably going to get a bunch of leads that start coming from it.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Megan and I were having a conversation one day just about her goals, and it's crazy how manifestation, just kind of willing it into the world, brings it full circle. And I think Megan's seeing a lot of that lately, and it's really cool because she puts in some work.
Tell me about some of them.
I was going to ask you, when you're doing social media, I mean, how are you, because I feel like you're everywhere, you're on it, like you're just so good at being present in these really valuable times and places. So how are you managing that with being a mom and a wife and a business? Like, 'cause I feel like your social media is so strong.
Well, probably the biggest part of it is not making it all about real estate. So I do 80% personal, 20% real estate.
Wow.
And honestly, that percentage may be a little bit skewed. But the real estate content is never like, call Megan to buy a house.
Yeah.
It's never like that.
Right.
It's like, look at this amazing bathtub I saw. Happy, Tubby Tuesday. Things like that. Or kitties of real estate when I see a cute cat in a house. It's just like a constant reminder and staying in front of people, letting them know, reminding them, hey, Megan is an active real estate agent.
Very like passively too. You're not necessarily shoving it down their throat.
It's
like
organic.
new listing.
Yeah.
And it's humorous and it's engaging, and it's not just, like you said, very stiff, like, here's my listing.
Yeah.
It's very, it's just very authentic.
I try to tell a story with each one too, just to give a little bit of context as to why it's a special thing or a special occasion, why this
Story
listing
around
is so
your
great,
client's experience or around the house or
the reason, like, why are we selling or why are we buying or things like that.
That's amazing. Well, storytelling, obviously, like it helps people actually connect and engage and read all the words that you put on there rather than the three, what is the attention span? 3 seconds?
3
scroll?
seconds.
3
Yeah.
seconds scroll?
That's like that's the metric on Facebook is how many 3-second views you got. I'm like, whoa.
Man, that's crazy.
That is.
So some of the stuff, let's hear. I want to touch on some of the stuff you've manifested this year, and that like, what are some of the coolest wins that you've experienced? I guess it doesn't have to be in 2024 so far.
Sure.
But
well, this did happen in 2024, and I had a lunch with my Oregon partner, Carolyn Hody. She's with the Hody team in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And we were talking about my social media and, what I do on there. And Carolyn she's beautiful and she's well put together and she sells a lot of luxury properties. And I want to sell a luxury property so bad. I've got a $3.8 million listing, but it's 41 acres of farm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's a great price point, but it's not luxury. And I want to be able to pull out all the stops. And so we were talking about how while my social media content is fabulous, it doesn't necessarily scream luxury agent. It screams a side-by-side driving hot mess mom that sells a lot of houses.
Sure.
Which we're still proud of, right?
Yeah, I'm 100% proud of it. It just doesn't, it's probably not, I'm attracting the people who like to work with me.
Right.
Maybe not, the luxury listing type of folks. So we had this conversation. It was very eye-opening. And I was coming to terms with, I may just sell a lot of cool, $1 million properties that are acreage and things that I relate with. I live on acreage. I can sell acreage, and then that house came out of the blue, the blog listing. It was literally the
same
next
day.
No, either same day or next day.
It was immediately after, pretty much.
I'm like, what? This is so
That's
cool.
incredible.
Yeah.
I don't think those things are coincidence either.
My coach, I have a Keller Williams mastery coach, and he has said several times, Megan, I don't know, you just say it and it happens. And I'm like, don't say it too loud, but I kind of like agreeing with you.
I think that means you're in flow state and you're in good synchronicity with the universe. Those are my beliefs.
Agreed.
I think that you're kicking butt, you're putting in the action, and it's creating, maybe someone call it luck, but more luck than the average person with some stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with that new listing, do you have any plans to leverage it to create more opportunities?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Any stop that you can possibly think of, I'm pulling out on this house because it's my opportunity to get on the social map of selling luxury.
Yeah.
So it'll be going down in the books. Yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
I've got full staging. I'm using a luxury photographer that does video and drone and all of the things. I'm planning a broker's open.
Okay. That'll be fun.
Potentially with a live artist painting the river on the deck.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that, man, because I got to be honest, some of those brokers opens, I'm just like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But I'd come see that for sure.
Yeah,
That's
this
awesome.
one is, with it being a historical property too, I'm just so excited to be able to, leverage that.
In the story that's going to come from that.
Yeah.
Showcase that a little bit, yeah.
That's amazing. Gosh. Wow.
I feel like you're really original too in the way that you do things. Like you don't just follow the grain and do what everybody else did. You find your own way to do it and put your own flair on it, and that's inspiring for me.
Some may call it being a little extra, but I'm okay with that.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just you. I think it's just making them feel like they're special, whether that's the sellers or whoever it is, you just go the extra mile to make them feel special. And I feel like that's your motivation, and that keeps it more treasured for them than it would just following the grain and doing what everybody else does. It shows that you put thought into it and that you genuinely want to make them feel different than the last. Yeah. And that's not something that's done very easily. It's not.
Well, and I gotta say, and I know we kind of touched on it a little bit before, but you're quite the action taker. Like we know a lot of real estate agents. I've had the pleasure to meet with a lot of people, and I have a lot of amazing friends in this business. But you're right at the top with people who learn something and apply it. Like that's the biggest breakdown. We do events and we talk about real estate. We do classes, but we all know the implementation rate is pretty low. And I saw you post something. Maybe it was a comment talking about Ignite with Keller Williams and how you started.
I believe I said that I was the self-proclaimed Ignite poster child.
Okay.
Someone was asking about if they should take Ignite, and I took it, and Samuel was my productivity coach and my Ignite instructor, and I did everything he told me to do at the highest level I possibly could. Yeah. And before it was even over, I had at least one, possibly two under contract.
That's
and
amazing.
I had not even done a contracts class yet.
Yeah. So I've never been through Ignite. I went through Bold once. What is Ignite kind of like as far as it's for when you just start, right?
Yeah, baby agents, like at the very beginning. It's not necessarily. We have lots of agents that pop in just to get a refresher, but it's like diving deep into all the major aspects of lead generation. I now teach in Ignite.
Do you?
Yeah. Okay. Surprise. I teach the capturing leads with social media.
That's amazing.
And occasionally I will have other agents that are not new agents pop in and just get a refresher.
Okay. When's the next Ignite training that you're teaching start?
It starts March 1st. Unfortunately, I was a little bit late to the game, and another agent snagged the capturing leads with social media spot.
Oh,
so I won't be teaching it in March. But being the chairman of technology in my office, I did a poll on our internal page, and I have a whole calendar's worth, or a full 12-month calendar's worth of technology classes that I'll be teaching AI, social media, command, some smart plans, and things like that.
Okay, so we need to connect on that after this.
Yes.
KFA starting March is starting to do some classes in your brokerage too.
Oh, great.
So yeah, we should do that together.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
Super awesome.
Super cool. Well, man, we've been just going through topic after topic. I want to shift gears a little bit to the realtors who have had a harder time this season maybe. And I think it's been a lot of people, not just realtors, loan officers. It's been a tough season. What is just the things that you've seen working for you and what's been able to keep you driven and almost out of the noise of this messy season a little bit? Because I can tell, there's a lot of realtors that I can tell that are, struggling more than others. But you don't seem to be, or at least you don't reflect that you're caught up in all that stuff. Like, what have you been able to do to protect your mindset and keep your faith alive through this and through all the challenges that have come along the way over the past, tough season we've been in?
Yeah, I'll be honest, there was a couple of times where I started to get a little nervous because, it's my first shift. I started in 2021 where it was crazy sauce and anybody could sell a house.
Sure.
And a couple times I had a little bit of a dip in my mindset, and I actually just went to Harris.
Harris.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was able to, whip me right back out of it. So, yeah. Having him already have gone through this probably more than once was great. So from there, I do go to my office, but I found that sometimes, I guess you just see, how do I want to say that? I just kept my head down and just kept going.
Sure.
Yeah. I try not to read into any of the posts about the lawsuits and all that stuff, because it matters, but it really doesn't matter to my business. And I just put my head down and just kept going.
Totally get that.
And then we're just working on the relationship piece. Like, even though folks I've got a great pipeline, but some have been in there for, they took a break. But the most important thing that I can do is stay in front of them and stay current and active in front of them, so they don't wander.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And almost like detaching, because I think especially during a crazy busy season, we attach our wins with like, okay, I closed this many deals this month, and it's like all about the final number, less about the inputs that you're putting in. These are the new relationships I started this month, and did that seem to help you a little bit more? Because I think a lot of times we fall into a trap of focusing on that bottom line number, which rightfully so, that's what pays our bills and supports our family. But like with what we're doing with KFA, right? Like, we're trying to focus on new relationships. We met through KFA. Yeah. That's a win, even though that doesn't necessarily mean we closed a deal. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. So find someone in your community to support you. Harris.
Yeah.
Everybody go to Harris. Someone in your community to support you, block out the noise, and then just kind of focusing on the relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. Do you have any other questions for her?
Do you plan, as far as your touches, how often you're reaching out to people? Do you have a very rigid time frame that you do each of those things, or is it just based off feeling?
I'll be honest, I do need to be more purposeful with that, because I don't. Okay. I just try to, honestly, I look through my pipeline. Like, I do have a focus on those and people who are actively in my pipeline, even if they've been there for a while. And I just go through the list, and every week, couple weeks, reach out, send them a message, send them a text, send them an email, send them a listing.
Yeah.
And then from there, I guess I don't want to say constant, but constant content posting.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether it's my kids doing crazy jumps.
What about commenting on other people, interacting? Do you be purposeful in that?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So, and I teach that in Ignite. So I tell them, or I teach, and these are very basic. I tell them this is the basic, people. This is how you start the habit. But commenting on at least 5 people's posts. And again, this is basic. And liking at least 5 people's posts, or loving. Okay. And I explain to them, I'm like, don't be the person that just clicks the like button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Give it a little
if you
more.
love it, give it a love. You don't want to be the only like in the list of loves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There you go.
I don't really share too many posts. If I see something funny, I'll share it in a DM, but I don't really share content, share memes and stuff on my social media.
Yeah, the one you sent me this morning.
Yeah, this morning.
So funny.
So for someone who's been on a hot streak of manifestation in her career, what's the thing that you'd be scared to manifest or to say out loud that is going to happen in your business?
Oh my gosh. Well, I already did it. And that was when I told my coach that he's like, well, you already hit your goal for 2023, Megan. What do you want to do now? And I'm like, well, I'd like to make it so that my husband eventually doesn't have to work his 9 to 5. And then literally 4 days later, he got laid off. So I actually already did that. And it was scary. And I'll be honest, he's going to start working after 6 months. He just accepted a fabulous job offer. We just realized that we're too young to stop. And it didn't feel good to kind of be stagnant. It felt great to know that I could support my family.
Yeah.
That felt very good.
I remember, I think you called me the day it happened.
I did.
And you were it caught me off guard, I'll be honest, because I've never heard somebody seem excited, right? And I don't know if you went through if you had a little pity party at all first before you made that call, but it seemed like you were immediately what an opportunity. And the way you looked at it, that impacted me. I was like, damn, that is impressive. And I want to be more like that when curveballs are thrown my way.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, there was nothing that we could do about it other than he could have gone and got a different job. But honestly, I think it was good for us. It was good for me. You know, 3 years ago, I ran the dealership, but that, wasn't necessarily the biggest moneymaker during COVID. But basically 3 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom. And now I could support my family by myself. And it was fabulous.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you should definitely be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
You've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to leave our viewers with before we wrap up?
Do you have one story that's just super meaningful, more than others, that you've had with a client or an experience that just kind of keeps you going or is always centered around everything?
Oh, it's a tough one.
I mean, I would imagine it's tough because you give so much to each and every one that it's hard for one to stand out more than the others, but
let's see here.
or maybe
I've
one
had
that
a lot of new
inspires you
construction recently, and that's sort of boring.
New construction?
Yeah.
And they're lengthy, right? I mean, they're not.
They're lengthy, and I don't have to. They don't let you do anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something from last year. Probably just. Yeah, I can think of Bev. In her 80s, and her and her husband had lived in their home for 56 years.
Wow.
And he had passed, and it was 4,000 square foot home on 5 acres in Brush Prairie, and she just couldn't maintain it anymore. It was quite original, even green shag carpet upstairs.
Oh, wow.
But it was fabulous. It was very clean and looked like
Took
straight
good
out of
care
a
of it.
1970s showroom. Yeah. And just the weight that was lifted off her shoulders, moving her into her retirement community, and selling her home and getting more than we intended to get on it. That was also the transaction that I started implementing the watercolor painting photos of their homes if they've lived in them for a long time.
Yeah.
Just kind of, just giving them a little piece of memory of as to,
Taking a little piece with them.
Such a good idea.
Yep.
Did you come up with that on your own?
Yeah, I was just trying to think. I'm like, these people. I mean, her husband built that house,
Right.
and
Oh, wow.
she lost her husband, and now she doesn't have her house. And I just was trying to think of something that I could do that would preserve the memory that they had, while also not having the burden of
Sure.
doing all the yard
4,000
maintenance
square
and
feet.
all the dusting. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's
so probably
special.
that was probably one of my most special transactions from last year, just because someone's living in their house for 50 some years, they got a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
Right.
a lot of stuff, and it can get emotional when you're helping them move out.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, I think it's so cool how connected you get to become through this avenue of clientele that you focus on, and it's got to make it a lot easier, right? Like it's just you're getting to experience beautiful stories along the way.
Yep.
And that's you may have got into this for a career, but I think you get so much more satisfaction out of it when you do it the right way.
100%.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're good to wrap up then.
All right.
That's a good stopping point.
Cool.
That was killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.